Uh, I've been on Zoom all day, so I don't know what happened. That's the funny part about it. It's like, what happened all of a sudden? So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I apologize about being late. If we need to go over a few minutes, then if you're still willing to stay on and participate, that'd be great. We do have two very good presentations tonight. First of all, let me just say Happy New Year to everybody. Yes, I would like to say Happy New Year to everyone and hope that the year's starting off good for all. I would like to also put out right in the front is that as far as the meeting is concerned, we do have a lot of information to gain tonight. So if you have questions, we're gonna take questions after each presentation, but please try to let everyone speak. And if you have additional questions after you've already spoken, please put your questions or concerns in the chat, and we will get back to you if need be. So without further ado, let's see the uh, Margitu, are you on here? Is she on, Logan?
I have not seen Margitu join yet.
Okay. Can you send her the link again? Is the representative from the immigrant and the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs, are they on the line? I wasn't familiar with who the name. Oh
Um,
wait.
I don't see Hamdi Mohammed, the director of that office. Um, I don't see Hamdi in the attendees list.
Okay. Well, we will move right along. Ron, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for always having my back. Thank you, Nick, for being on as well. Oh, Nick, I'm gonna promote you now so that you can help Ron. Tommy, are you from the Immigrant and Refugee Affairs?
No, I'm not. I'm with Councilmember Nelson's office.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you very much.
No problem.
So, okay. Well, we're gonna move right along. Ron, Nick are both from the training center at the Seattle Police Department, and as most of you know, they've started a program. They started a program called Before the Badge, and a lot of people in the community have participated in some of the SU gatherings. So for those of you who haven't, I would just like to make sure that you know something about this program and to be aware of it. And I think it's going to be a good addition to our community. And I want to hear the feedback from the CPC group here and what you think about it. Can you unmute yourselves? So I want to introduce Ron Campbell. Ron, I don't know what your official title is. Please forgive me. And you too, Nick. I don't know the official title, but I know the training center. I know you guys have been doing dynamic work with this program, and I'm eager to hear more about it. So take it away.
Yeah, so my name is Ron Campbell. I'm a supervisor, so a sergeant with the Seattle Police Department, and I've been on for 23 years now. And I'm just really honored that Chief Diaz had approached me with this project. Actually, Felicia, one of the reasons I knew about this was the work we did with the Immigrant Family Initiative we did in 2017. We did a bunch of circle work, and that was really an eye-opener about getting to know each other. And that's really what this whole thing is about officers, well, potential officers in community getting to know each other and potentially developing relationships prior to even going to the academy. So this again is all of Chief Diaz's brainchild, but I'm more than honored to be a part of it. And Nick, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Nick Zahowski. I'm a civilian project manager at SPD, and I just helped implement this Before the Badge program pulled together folks from throughout the department, and helped get this up and running. So I think Sergeant Campbell's going to be the main presenter here. Sergeant, I can pull up the presentation if you want to get going. And I should also add that Brian Maxey, Chief Operating Officer for Seattle Police Department, who is on the call, is going to be piping in as well. So, Brian, do you want to give a quick intro?
Sure. I mean, mainly I would like to express my gratitude actually to the two of you and to the rest of the training division and all of the community members that have really come together to make this program successful. It's something that's been years in the making and is the really important brainchild of Chief Diaz. I know his expectations for this program were very, very high, and we have been running it for several months now, and the feedback is good. And I'm really excited that you're going to be able to present to the CPC and to our community in more detail about exactly what this is and why it's so important to the department. So I will stop talking and pass the torch to you guys to present what you do.
All right, go ahead and throw it up there, Nick. I just wanted to mention too, Vicki Beach has been a proponent of this, and she's been involved in this from the onset. I just had learned that she didn't know about this meeting, but I think she's going to come on later. So she's been a major part of this. Also, Margitu, who's a part of the CPC, has gone through this program. So she came through it as a student when she was a community service officer. So it hasn't changed a whole lot since Margitu has gone through, but we have massaged it, and we're continually trying to make it better. We're receiving feedback from both the community and the recruits as they go through as to how we can maybe improve it.
Can people see the presentation?
I can.
Is it, Ron, do you see just one slide, or do you see the presenter view?
I see presenter mode.
Okay, let me, I should be able to switch that. Is that better, or is it the same?
Yep.
Great.
Just seeing the one slide now. Yep.
Okay, I will just let me know when you want me to forward the slide, and I'll go on mute.
Okay, great. So this actually started back in late December, early January with the executive committee and some key kind of officers and detectives on our department. And we were able to get things rolling. I think it was the end of June we started. Our first class entered the academy, I believe July 7th, with our first 3 officers. And you'll see them at the end. They're kind of featured in the end here. You might have seen them online as well. Go ahead, Nick. So yeah, as you can see on the slide here, I don't want to, I guess I'll just read it. But SPD 360 is, so before the badge is part of the SPD 360, the chief has some bigger ideas about how we can outreach to community, but this is part of it. Before the badge is a multi-week program designed to provide pre-academy recruits with the foundational knowledge, skills, and relationships. And I'm going to underline, we should actually capitalize relationships to succeed as partners in the community and leaders in this department. Grounded in principles of relational policing, officer wellness, and collaboration. Before the badge brings recruits together in honest dialogue with Seattle's communities, department colleagues, and city leaders, and reflects SPD's commitment to provide its officers a safe and supportive culture in which to grow their careers. So yeah, this is designed to be a 45-day program. And what we're doing, if you go to the next slide, I believe Nick shows kind of the traditional law enforcement training. Go ahead and fill in the legs there. If you see the stool there, it's got 3 legs. 4-legged stool would be better. And traditionally, this is what we've done.
Ron, I think this slide didn't translate very well to this presentation, so I will.
Okay. Well, generally, you'd have tactics training, tactical training, defensive tactics, and what's the third thing? Do you remember, Nick? Do you have it there? Oh, law. Yeah, obviously law. Go ahead and go to the next one. So we've kind of added a fourth leg there. And we obviously didn't practice this prior. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. This is basically what happens is we would hire officers and we would have them for about a week. We would get them their equipment, they'd get their, their riot gear, their weapons. They do a couple of shooting scenarios out at the range, kind of teaching them some proficiency with their firearm. And then we'd ship them off to the academy and say, okay, we'll see you in 20 weeks. And then we have them back for about 8 weeks, and then they go out to the field training program. And what we do in the post BLIA is we do more specific training as far as how the Seattle Police Department does things. We have different report writing management systems, and the state talks about. And the state has to teach officers at the very basic level. So some departments may only have a department of 4 people, so they have to train to that level. A lot of departments train like for example, 1 officer building search. We don't do that. We do 2 or 3 officer building searches. So we explain and we train that. I don't believe the academy talks about rapid intervention training, which is responding to school shootings and such like that. So we do a pretty good program about how to respond as a team member if there's ever a tragedy at a school like that. We also teach them basic life safety care, both for themselves and others out in the field, how to take care of themselves if they're to get injured. For example, if they get shot in the leg, how to apply a tourniquet so that they can stay in the fight and don't bleed out. And then they can also translate that to civilians as well. So what we've done is, if you go to the next part, Nick, is we added the before the badge. So it's about 6 weeks, and we're not delaying anybody getting into the academy. Their academy date stays the same, but we're just hiring them early. So there's no delay in getting these recruits out on the street. That was pretty important to me at the beginning, because we're struggling for bodies out there. But before the badge is hired early, and they're getting this education that I wish I would have had. And I like to use myself as an example. I did the above piece there. I went through all the training, and then I did my field training, and they said, congratulations, okay, go be a cop in the East Precinct. And so I got thrown into that precinct. I knew nothing about it. I knew nothing about the community there. I didn't know anything about the history, the people who live there, even the stores. I was brand new. I'd never been on that side of the city. And I really wish I would have had training like the word giving now, because I would have been a better cop. And the reason I say I'd been better is I would have been more of a relational police officer. I basically had to learn from the guys who had been there and had more time on me, more time on than I did. So I'm learning how to be a police officer basically at that point. And I'm just kind of learning from the people above me, which I'm not necessarily saying is the right way to go. So I'm really happy with the before the badge. If we can get to know the community better, you're going to be a better officer out there. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So these are the primary focuses. Can you fill it in there, Nick? So community, wellness, leadership, and that's it. Okay, so obviously the community, this is again one of those parts I wish I would have had. I knew nobody in the community. If you can go back one slide. And I think this would have made me a better, more empathetic officer. And that's the kind of the avenue that we're going with this program. Officer wellness. When I say wellness, this is about our wellness. In 2018, at the time, Chief Best decided there was a lot of suicides happening in New York at the time. She didn't want that to happen in SPD. So she challenged the training unit to come up with a wellness plan. So a lot of our officers didn't know how to take care of themselves mentally, physically, eating right, exercising, sleep. So we're giving this education to these new recruits right up front. And they're going into a stressful environment right away, in that they're going to the academy and it's stressful. So in giving these tools and techniques that they can use to keep themselves better, not only while they're in the academy, but when they get out, how to show up at that call your best self. So let's say you go to one call, it's tragic, right? The most tragic event you can even imagine. And now I have to go to another call. How do I reset and show up at that next call my best self? So those are some of the things that we're talking about. Leadership. I'm challenging these students that even though they're brand new to the department, I'm asking them to be leaders. And what I'm asking them to do is lead by example and use the tools and techniques and some of their knowledge that they're learning in this before the badge and take it out on the street with them. So once they get off FTO, you know, if they can interact with the public and the community the way we're teaching, and then other officers see it, they might want to be a part of it. And so I'm asking them to be leaders in that capacity. Go ahead and go to the next one. So we do meet with community sessions. The African American community, and this is one of my biggest passions because that was the East Precinct that I wish I would have had more history about. We actually watch a documentary. It's on Netflix if you want to look at it. It's called the Who We Are Project. It's a film made by Jeffrey Robinson, who's a local attorney. And it talks about the true history of slavery in the United States. And there's some eye-opening stuff in that documentary that I did not know growing up or learning in school that really kind of explains that, hey, you know, the playing field hasn't always been fair. And to understand that gives the officers a little bit of empathy when dealing with in particular, the Black community. So they're getting a history of policing in especially that community, and then we do ask the community members, hey, what would you like to see in officers, you know, in your community? And then we just open up the dialogue and we have discussions. It's been really awesome. And this is not only in the Black community, but we do meet with the Filipino community, the Latino community. I'm going to forget some here because I don't have it in my notes in front of me, but the African communities, East African, what else, Nick? You name the community, we're trying to reach out to them. Now, there are some communities that are not real excited to meet with us yet. For example, the LGBTQ community. We do have a history lesson that's taught by one of our officers who's in that community. And he does a deep dive. He goes all the way back into history, explains that it's a normalcy in human nature, and it goes all the way up to Stonewall, you know, and where we're at today in Seattle. So yeah, it's pretty awesome training. And then we also have a transgender gentleman come in. He was previously a female in a karate gold medalist, and was on the Olympic team, and has transformed to be a male. And he kind of talks about his story, and it's really enlightening for the officers to get to know his story and understanding what that community kind of goes through. So we're still trying to reach out to that community to have that open dialogue and things. We do meet with formerly incarcerated individuals. Kim Baguki has a project called the IF project. And it's basically like if there's something someone could have said or done, what would that have been to keep you out of where you're at today? And it's a awesome program. And then so we see a documentary of the IF project, and then we actually have some of the women that are in that film come in, and they actually teach the students about their interactions with law enforcement and how it has changed or confirmed the way they felt about police, and how it's changed over the years after they've gotten to know the officers. And they're awesome. In fact, a couple of them have gone to some of our graduations to see the officers as they graduate. It's been a really positive relationship we've developed there. And this diversion program here you're seeing there is LEAD, which is a law enforcement assisted diversion program. It's basically taking low-level drug offenders, and if you refer them to this program, they put them in with a case manager, and the case manager kind of takes it from there, but it keeps them out of the legal system and gives them a pathway to success. And the person you're seeing there up front in the plaid shirt is a success story, and that's actually him in the background of the documentary that they show. And that's been a really powerful one as well. This is Johnny, and Johnny's showing up to every one of our sessions. Northwest African American Museum, we've been trying to team up with them for a while to do training throughout the entire department, but there was some issues with the museum and who owned it and some other stuff, politics I don't understand, but we did reach out to the Northwest African American Museum, and they come down and they give us a local history of the Black history and law enforcement in our local history here. What we hope to do in the future is once they get opened is that we would take the recruits up there so that they could tour the museum and then get that same local history from the Northwest African American Museum themselves. So yeah, the MCPP, we call this the micro community policing. I can't remember what the last P is, project, I believe. And this is through Seattle University, and we meet with them virtually currently. And anybody is invited to come, anybody in that community, in whatever community we're talking about. So we generally have it set up by precincts. So generally what we do is we'll have the officers go to a ride along through, like, say, the North Precinct. So they'll get to tour the precinct with an officer in a police car, and then they'll do a tour of that precinct. And then that night they meet with community members of that community through the MCPP dialogues. And, you know, and this is generally, it's been highlighted about the recruits and talking about who they are, where they've come from, and why they want to be police officers. And it's been a really awesome dialogue with the community, and we get really good ideas for moving the program forward. But it's a chance to have the recruits meet with the community and have dialogue. Again, history lessons. So each community that we reach out to, we try to get a little bit of history. I'm actually working with the CID. We actually have an officer in the CID right now that's he's embodying exactly what this program is. He's getting out of his police car, he's going to the communities, the businesses, and he's checking in and he's going in there and he's developing relationships. He's doing exactly what we're talking about. So what we do is we have the recruits go out and they actually walk around with him. Well, one of the tours I was on, one of the workers at the museum there, Luke, can't remember the name of the museum right now.
Luke Wing
Museum came out and said that they would like to be a part of this as well. So yeah, Wing Luke, thank you very much. So we're in discussions right now with them to see if we can make that a part of the tour. Yeah, I think it would be great to have that as well. Go ahead, Nick. Yeah, I mean, you can read what they're there. This is actually a picture of the CID tour right there, and there's Mergitu in the back. You can see her there. And that's a community member giving her insight on some stuff. Increased awareness among SPD officers and how policing impacts the community. A lot of times it's not really even thought about, and it's important to hear from the community how it impacts. Foster an environment of respect, dignity, and empathy towards community by the SPD officers. Increased feelings of involvement in SPD affairs by the Seattle community, and increased number of positive relationships between community and SPD officers. So I actually teach a piece on relational policing, and I'm sure everybody can kind of relate that if you have a bad experience with a certain business, you're gonna probably go out of your way to tell a bunch of people about, hey, don't go to this business, here's what happened. And you're gonna, I'm not a Facebook guy, but you might Facebook post it. And you're gonna tell a bunch of people. If you have a good experience, you might tell 2 or 3, maybe 4. You might tell them, yeah, or here it comes up in conversation, oh, that's a good company, I had a good experience with them. And that's the same thing with policing. If we're trying to make positive relationships and positive interactions. So no matter what happens, even if I have to get in a fight with somebody to get them into custody afterwards, after everybody's calmed down, let's go into that holding cell and then have a conversation and ask, hey, is there something I could have done differently? Is there something I could have done that would have kept us from fighting, because I don't like to fight, and just really giving the subject, whoever's in custody, a feeling that they're a person, they're a human being, and that we value them, and we care. And that's true. And I'm trying to instill that into these officers, these recruits. And one of my goals is, as these recruits come out of the academy, I'm sorry, I should say when they're assigned to their precincts, is my goal is to have them be required to have 3 community members that they're going to go create a relationship with. I don't care who it is. It could be the guy at 7-Eleven. It could be the block watch captain, whoever. But each recruit we hire as we go, with three community engagements and creating relationships there, eventually we're going to reach out and get a lot of the community involved. And then hopefully they can spread the good word that, hey, we're trying to change the face of what law enforcement's looked like in the past. Next slide. Wellness, yeah. So like I had mentioned earlier, increase officer health and well-being. We have not focused on this, and you see Callie there. She's teaching. She is a certified personal trainer, and she teaches the recruits the proper way to work out and how to stay motivated, and how to really pass the physical coming up, but then try to develop some good habits that they can maintain throughout their career. And also, exercising is part of keeping your stress level down too. So this is actually a really good training session. He actually takes up most of our time. This is Dr. Lewis. He teaches about brain science, and it's called the science of relational policing. And Dr. Lewis has done a lot of work with the Seattle Public School District, and it's about basically kind of conflict resolution, if you will. But it's how, if I was to put it in a nutshell, it's how to show up at each call your best self. And we will literally go over brain science and what it feels like and looks like when you're stressed, and how if you're stressed out and you show up stressed out, your amygdala takes over when you're stressed and pissed off, and how to get that to the frontal cortex. And you can do that through breathing and just knowing what your body's doing, and stepping back and trying to get yourself into that frontal cortex, so you're thinking rather than reacting. And we actually take calls off the internet that that didn't go well, obviously. And he'll have the students kind of break down, hey, where did this go wrong and why did it go wrong? And the students then, kind of talk us through it. And then we have a homework assignment for them that they go onto YouTube and they find some videos as to interactions that went wrong. And then they present back to the class why it went wrong. And it could be something simple as, the officer got triggered, and then we talk about, hey, what triggers you? You need to know what triggers you, so that you can let your partners know that if you get triggered, they can tap you out and take over the call. So we're really trying to make as many interactions as we can, not come to physical force. It's basically what we're trying to get at. Really good program. He takes up every Tuesday from 4 to 8. So he has 12 hours, 16 hours of our students' time. And we actually just started bringing in a new piece at the end where we bring the families in, because there's some changes that their recruit may go through, and we want them to be aware and have discussions up front about, some things you wouldn't even think about, but you may be bringing a firearm into your home, which you've never had before. So we want them to discuss that with their significant others or family prior to having that take place. Yep, science-based in psychology. That's basically talking about what Dr. Lewis is talking about. He also talks about protective factors, things that you need in your life, such as positive work environment, positive home environment, community engagements, being positive. Things like church, your gym, things that you look to for. Positive affirmation, if you will, but having a positive relationship there. And then we talk about, hey, some of our community members don't have these things, these protective factors in place. And when that happens, then they can start to turn to a life of crime, or maybe turn to gangs and things like that. So it's important that we try to intercede as much as possible, and try to create that relationship and hopefully help these young guys out, young people out, and getting them the protective factors that they need. And that's just with all people. That's not just police officers. That's everybody. Go ahead, Nick. Yeah, so career paths at SPD. So we do take the recruits out. We show them some of the things that we can offer them as a city. Other departments that we're getting a lot of competition at the academy, if you will, and a lot of other agencies come up to our recruits and they'll say, "Hey, you come work for us, I'll give you a $7,000 bonus, plus I'll give you a take-home car." Well, we can't really compete. Well, we can compete with that now. They're already getting the $7,000, but we can't compete with take-home cars. But we can compete with, we have a harbor unit. We have really great canine units, internet crimes against children, detectives. There's all kinds of detective things, canine, mounted patrol. There's a lot of things that SPD has that these other agencies don't. And I do warn these kids up front that, hey, you're going to get hit up by these other agencies, but you're kind of a jerk if you leave. I use different language, but you're kind of a jerk if you leave us. Go ahead, Nick. Precinct visits, I already kind of spoke about that, but what we're trying to do is, in the past, we'd go visit the precinct. Yeah, here's where you park, and then, okay, see you later. What we're trying to do is kind of in the same line with keeping our recruits, is that when they go out and they actually ride with an officer, they get to ask questions. They want to be in the car anyway. They want to see what it's like. And then they kind of develop a friendship or relationship, if you will, with those officers. So they already feel like they're part of the team, if you will, and already feel like they're welcomed, which we've done a terrible job in the past. Probably not on purpose, but just as a culture at SPD that you kind of have to earn your keep before we're gonna accept you as one of us. So yeah, we're trying to get past that. Everybody's been really great. The captains are all on board. The lieutenants and sergeants down to the officers, they've been really welcoming and have been doing a great job with our recruits out there. We do visit the academy. The academy can be this big scary place, and it's not. So I take them out there and we visit with before the badge classes, and that way they get to see where they're going to be going and spending the next 6 weeks or 6 months or so, and then and they get to ask the other recruits, what they think and stuff. So it's been a really positive environment. And there's some talk about, I got to run this by Brian Maxey here, but there's some talk about maybe bringing the recruits up to do some role plays for the current students that are in the academy, and then do a tour and a lunch and stuff there. So it might make it a full day, but we'll see. Next slide, please. Yeah, again, this is kind of reiterating what I was talking about earlier, but creating leaders independent of rank or seniority. These recruits, it's literally a culture change, and culture change is not easy. But I'm challenging these kids, each and every one of them, several times a week, that I need them to be leaders out there and lead by example, and really don't forget about the principles of this program, because this is the only way we're going to change both the culture and maybe the way the city and community feels about their police department. That guy's a jerk there, that instructor. But outward mindset training. Yeah, so outward mindset is about, it's a day-long process, and we're actually teaching this to all of our leadership right now, all from the chiefs on down. Outward mindset is basically, in a nutshell, really this program, but also just how to treat people like people, not as an object. And it's been really positive. I've seen a lot of these sessions go on both with our recruits and others, and this is one of the highlights. They really like it. This is done by the Arbinger Group. It's a program that we bought, and it's being run by a civilian in our department named Cam Tripp, and he's an excellent instructor. And he keeps trying to get more instructors, but it's a difficult topic to teach to your peers. And this particular training is more towards supervisors to their employees, but I spin it in a way that these recruits understand that they're leaders as well, and to be open-minded about what they're going to be doing out there on the street. Growth mindset is also taught by Cam Tripp, but basically it's understanding that we're not born with a set amount of abilities, that if you put your mind to it, and you can do anything you want to do. So we kind of leave them with is, if you can't do something, say I can't do something yet, but I'm going to get better at it. I'm going to keep trying. That's class in a nutshell. Relational policing, I already talked about my piece of it, but we also have Detective Cookie come in, and she talks to the recruits about what she's done with the youth in our community. And I mean, everybody knows Cookie, right? You can't count the amount of lives she saved by showing kids that they're better than what they think they are, and that they can do better than what they think they can. And she's just she's amazing. So she gives a little history lesson on her journey through law enforcement, and then we watch a couple news articles about her Chess Park, and yeah, she's awesome. And then we have Aaron Lucas also, who's been helping me out. Aaron Lucas comes in and talks about his growth and journey through the department. He started out in the Central District as a barber, and became a police officer, and he still reaches out to the youth. In fact, he goes down to the youth detention center there and gives haircuts to the youth in that community. And command staff visits. Yes, we do have Chief Diaz comes in. You saw a slide of him in there. He gives a presentation. Monisha Harrell, Deputy Mayor, comes in. She gives a presentation. We have the patrol chief, Haffey, come in. Our training chief comes in, Leslie Cordner, and then Brian Maxey has also joined us for discussions with the recruits, and they kind of give a history of what they expect and what they found works in their career. Go ahead and go to the next one. Maybe you can talk about this one, Nick. I'm more of a program guy. I don't really care about the research part.
Sure, I'll just go over it quickly. We've engaged with Dr. Jacqueline Helfgott at Seattle University, and we're doing a pretty extensive study. She has undertaken an extensive study of the recruits, and it's quantitative and qualitative in nature. Basically, we're going to be following these recruits over that go through this program over a 3-year time frame, and check in and survey them and interview them at various points, and also compare them to non-SPD Washington State Academy graduates. What we're looking to see, and we hope to see some behavior change as a result of this program. So we will have an initial report coming out soon that Dr. Helfgott's going to release, just with some basic information, descriptive data about this group. And we also do in the micro community policing plan, she does surveys, post session with the community members that take part in those.
So these are just some of the comments that some of our recruits. This is actually our first class, I believe. Is that correct, Nick?
Actually, we have some here from a couple classes. So
okay. So before the badge course, changed my expectations on what it is possible for Seattle police officers. This course showed that policing goes beyond enforcing the laws. It includes being involved in the community and making impactful change in the lives of others, often the most vulnerable. The BTB program can make you a better officer in the community and fellow officers that you serve with, but it can also make you a better spouse, parent, and friend to the people that are special in your life. By applying what you have learned and giving yourself the grace to make mistakes and try again, the BTB program can be life-changing. As a long one, BTB course is the next step forward towards a positive change for law enforcement. It embodies the type of change and understanding the public and communities want from agencies. It better prepares recruits to anticipate the critical thinking and complex interactions they will inevitably face during their career. More importantly, recruits will learn to address their own stressors to improve their wellness, which in turn will improve their interactions with the public and better strengthen community trust with law enforcement. I look at law enforcement as a progressive profession, a job that needs to evolve as society does, requiring officers to be open-minded. The BTB course is the perfect example of how law enforcement should be evolving and instills being open-minded to the recruits in the course so that they may change for the better as the job requires. The BTB course needs to be introduced to each agency across the country, and aspects of this course should implement it into law enforcement academies everywhere so that officers can earn back the trust of the American public. And those statements were not forced; they were voluntary by those recruits. And then this is just kind of what we have on our website. Nick, you want to go ahead and play those?
Yeah, please let me know if you hear the audio. I'm hoping that the audio will come through here.
Nope.
Let's see here. Okay, let me try now.
This program is going to make me a better police officer because it brings a.
It's really wonky though, Nick.
Awareness to the community that we're going to serve.
We're here because we want to change the world.
I'm seeing it happen. I'm a part of this, like being with these community members.
There's another person that you're talking to. They're not just an object. They're not just another charge that you have to clear to answer another call. There's a human being that you'll be interfacing and interacting with.
He is only the one who's working. I'm not working. I have 2 kids. I don't want to be a homeless in America.
If you can't see or hear the video, please raise your hand.
1 or 2 people that we talk to in community meetings, and then they see me on the street later, they can go, oh, that's Steven Skank. That's not Officer Skank. That's not an SPD officer. That's Steven Skank. I've talked to him. I know him. I know he's not just a cop. He's not just a badge.
If they feel, like we've heard them and they feel respected,
it'll be one more relationship that I've built, or one more step that I've taken towards building that bridge with the community.
Part of what Vicki and I are hoping to do is for us to get to know each other well enough that we build enough trust that we can believe in each other as we engage in partnership together.
We've learned a lot of history about institutional racism and the racial history of slavery in the United States that I'd never heard before, as well as, a lot of trauma-informed, cultural-informed.
One of the things that I think stood out to me was this, we call it gender responsiveness. Understanding that like my job might call for me to take a woman outside of her home and take her away from her family, and just the impact that can have. I found that I do have a passion for building the next person, working with people that are in need.
You'll do that 3 times.
By putting the Before the Badge program before any law enforcement related training, they really want to give us a strong foundation to A, take care of ourselves through the wellness, and B, be able to form, relationships with the community.
If you can't take care of yourself, then how are you going to be able to help other people? Being able to identify when you're going through those stressors or those hard days so that you can kind of refocus, realign, re-engage with the community, that can help with longevity.
You have to make sure you care of the mental side. It's that way it drives you to still have the passion to help.
It's the opportunity for me to, again, serve. I like that idea of service, serving others and building people and getting them back on their feet. It's historical, I would say. And I'm actually glad to be a part of that, be the forefront of the change.
Yeah, so that was actually our first group to go through, and they just entered the field training program this week. In fact, I think today was their first day out on the street. So I'm really excited to see where they get assigned and what communities they're going to go make relationships with. Again, I just want to reiterate that Vicky Beach is a huge proponent of this program, and she's been alongside me most of it. She's actually gone through the entire program. Um, just an awesome advocate for us, and yeah, it's really great to have her sit next to me when when she used to hate the police so bad, and then when we can sit next to each other and be together on a program like this, it's pretty powerful. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Ron, and Nick and Brian. Um, I apologize. I'm going to insert here so that when the questions come up, that it could be encompassed, and maybe you can help answer some. We had the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs to be on the second part of the message for tonight, and because it does tie in together, and what a powerful um, uh, um, meeting that is, that I was able to take part in with you as well. And so I was just was hoping to be able to tie those two things together, and maybe we'll be able to. She's the person that's having technical difficulties, like a lot of people are tonight for some reason. But we going through that program was really enlightening for me. So I can just imagine this, the before the badge. I'll just say the program was, I'll just give a brief overview of it because I don't know the I don't want to misrepresent the intricate details of it. But it was like 9 weeks, every Saturday from like 9 to 1 or 9 to 2. And what the program did was had officers and not new recruits. So this is a whole different aspect. Just get it before, before they get in there. But had had the police officers, and then there was families where English was their second language, in many different nationalities and many different demographics, which was awesome. There were interpreters there. Margitu, you can chime in anytime you want to say anything as well, because she was one of the interpreters in the class that I sat in. Community passageways came in. There was a facilitator, and we did big circles and little circles and breakout groups. And the most um, impactful thing to me from taking that course was I remember watching there was about three young officers. I don't know how long they had been on the force really, but young guys, and they were so uncomfortable in the room. They were so uncomfortable, and to the point, they were red in the face, they were fidgeting, and I was watching this the whole time. But what I was able to witness was at the end of that program, the kids were jumping up on their arms, they were wearing their hats, they were sitting next to each other, arms around each other. It was so powerful to see that transformation, and to know that now that they will go back out into to these communities of you know English as a second language community members, and have a different outlook and a different perspective and a different way of a comfortableness to interact with them differently. So that I think aligns with the mission with before the badge, which is you know getting it from the beginning. So that was my little spiel for that. But anything you want to add about that?
Yeah, one thing that was really powerful about that too is we all showed up in civilian clothes, and
Right.
we didn't put our uniforms on until the last day. So it was really eye-opening for both me and them. But uh, to say, "Oh, that's Ron. I know Ron, the person Ron," and then he's a cop. Whoa, and it was really powerful. I think for me anyway.
Yes, yeah. And even for me, out in the community after having gone through that program, ran into some of the kids and some of the adults because the kids also are with their parents. They're with their parents or their guardians throughout the whole program, which is another aspect that was powerful because at the end, what you see is no matter if you don't speak the same language, you have a lot of the same concerns and a lot of the same issues. And so that was powerful and then for the parents to be able to interact with the kids and to hear the youth perspective on some of the topics was as well. So I'm glad you guys are working with them as well. And it sounds like a very powerful. Magitu, did you have anything you wanted to add? I'll put the information about the Immigrant Family Institute in the chat. Is she on there? Maybe not. Okay. We'll take the first question, and Castile has had her hand up since before the meeting started. So we will unmute Castile. Somebody helping me with that?
I just unmuted the first Castile, but it looks like it might be Mr.
Sure.
Gale.
Okay. Do you want to go first, Mr. Gill, or you want to let Castile take her turn? Hello? Let's unmute her as well, I guess. Hello? Can you guys hear? Castile? Okay. Having
I
lots of
asked them to unmute.
Mm-hmm.
Let me.
Okay.
Let
Lots of
Castile-
I don't know what's going on.
let
Yes.
Castile-
Can you hear? Yes. You there? Okay. Let's go on with Donna and then we can come back. Can you unmute Donna?
Am I unmuted now?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this presentation. It's been very helpful for understanding what the breadth and depth of Before the Badge. I think I understand from the presentation how you prepare potential recruits for going into the academy. My question then is, how does the academy reinforce Before the Badge once people get into the academy after they're finished with Before the Badge? How is that getting reinforced?
Can I go with that, Mr. Maxey?
You want me to respond, or you would like to first?
I can do it.
Okay, you go first. Yep, fine.
So this is a Seattle only program for currently. I have had discussions with the director out there, and she loves it program, but she hasn't come forward and asked us to actually go out there. So it is a statewide academy. So everybody from the state goes there, and then we get them back, and we get them for the post-BLIA part. And we have hired Dr. Lewis to come back and kind of reinforce things that they've learned. So what also I've been doing is, and this is fairly new because they've just started coming out of the academy in November, is that I go out there and I actually see them in the hallways and stuff, and I talk to them, and I go to the graduation, I talk to them, and I make sure that they're still embodying the principles that we've taught. But that's a great question, and I think we're just gonna have to kind of wait and see what the data shows with the study that's being done.
Okay,
Research.
so no formal overlap at this point.
There is no formal overlap. No.
Okay, thank you.
Let me just add one additional point to that, is that right now SPD is down a lot of officers. I think that's no surprise to anyone, but we have committed to sending 3 of our officers down to the state academy to serve as TAC officers down there, and they're working very hard to help augment the curriculum down at the state academy. And our goal in doing this is, as we send SPD recruits that have gone through the Before the Badge program into the academy, if we have more instructors down there that are more invested in creating the state curriculum, we can start building that continuity even as our recruits are in the hands of the state. And certainly, as Sergeant Campbell indicated, the executive director down there, Monica Alexander, is a fan of this program, and we're beginning to see greater collaboration with CJTC on carrying this through.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see here. I don't see. Castile, I've undone your mic. I've unmuted your mic. If you can try to.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
As someone who has been directly impacted by the violence perpetuated by Seattle police, resulting in the death of my brother Herbert Hightower Jr., I am beyond frustrated, disgusted, and wholly distrustful of the actions and the controlling and operating body of the CPC. From the blatant, unprofessional, re-traumatizing, and unapologetic disrespect that I have directly received as someone who has lost a brother to Seattle police violence by a commissioner in these very meetings, because I dare to point out the lack of care to the community or our grievances to the CPC, to the lack of care that has been shown to the gentleman killed by Seattle police last year, and the insensitive and inadequate excuses given for your lack of follow-up for over a year after his passing, to the fixation on corporate tech that allows for surveillance and criminalization of already marginalized and oppressed Black and Brown communities, and even now with the Before the Badge presentation presented, mind you, by an officer who sued to stop the consent decree, claiming it inhibited cops' ability to use force that far too often has led to more killings and harms, presenting a program that focuses on police recruitment, police health and wellness, police family services, police exercise, police sleeping techniques, and career development as they move from one killing and harm to another, instead of police accountability that could lead to marginalized communities interacting with officers that have directly harmed and traumatized them without any prior accountability, like killing one of those community members, which is exactly what happened to my family and my brother's killer, who went right back into the African American community, asking us to collaborate with him years after gunning down my brother while he was experiencing a mental health crisis, as we were being given excuse after excuse by Seattle police as to why we couldn't get the public records of what led to his killing. And mind you, as impacted communities continue to struggle to get resources to even bury our loved ones' bodies, maimed and killed by Seattle police, the CPC's fixation on business interests instead of police accountability, attending police conferences across the country and overseas, and the continued attempts to silence both community members and those directly impacted by the violence perpetuated by Seattle police, instead of doing what the consent decree, which created your office, actually intended, which is not to coddle police misconduct, but instead hold them accountable and uplift the voices of those most impacted instead of attempting to stamp them out, as well as your attempts to create a work group for an appeal system for victim complaints 6 years later after it was mandated, and as a clear attempt to undermine the direct work the community, myself, and other community members such as Dr. Howard Gale within the last few months have worked tirelessly to create under the OPA's Affected Persons Program that centers the voices of victims and families, due to the continued failures of your office, to your refusal time and time again to even allow for those same voices in your regular meetings by way of public comment. I ask you, why? Why continue to try to stamp out our voices, get in the way of progress and accountability demanded by the community, while headline after headline is printed from prominent publications detailing incidents within SPD continue to be printed, such as complaints made regarding a former SPD police chief still sitting in limbo, King County jail suicides spiking, Seattle police further jeopardizing the mental and physical well-being of school children who witnessed their fellow classmate being gunned down at Ingram High School right in front of them, then having to witness a SWAT exercise near their school facilitated by SPD the very next day, to reports of Seattle police officers being accused of stalking, retaliation being inflicted on sexual assault whistleblowers, and a man being found unresponsive in a King County jail who ultimately died. And the list goes on and on. You instead decide to focus and get in the way of the work of what we community members and impacted families are doing to demand accountability, instead of using the millions poured into your office year after year to do what the consent decree initially intended. Shameful and a clear waste of taxpayer money, energy, and trust. None of what you have done shows that you actually care about victims of police violence and their families. None of what you have done shows that you want to even listen to us outside of dismissing, demoralizing, gaslighting our experiences and our fight for accountability and healing. Shame on you.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you, Castile. Whether you believe I do or not, I hear you. And I want to take one moment. Please be mindful of time. I'm not trying to rush through, but we know we are on a time here. I would really like to have a clear understanding, and maybe we can talk offline about what accountability looks like to you. What
I
would
literally
what
just
would
laid that out. I
no,
literally
no,
just
no, you
laid
told
that out for
you
you.
no, no, no,
Here we
no.
go
You
again,
took
Felicia. Here we go again
okay.
with the lack of
I,
respect for the
no,
voices of
I'm
those
not.
directly impacted by police violence. Here we go with the
No, so
gaslighting and
listen,
the
listen to
dismissing
okay, now I
of,
listen to
of
you.
our
I
lived
listen to you.
experiences.
I listened to you. I listened to you. I did not interrupt you at no point, and you took several minutes. So please listen to me. And I think I'm going to request that we take this off the line so that we can have a thorough conversation, because I truly want to understand from the time your brother was killed, and with my deepest condolences, but from the time your brother was killed to today, and all these programs like such as this that are being put into place, all the trainings, do you not see any, or what would it take um to see a progress?
Well,
and
first
and
of all,
um I
mhm,
mean, because there have been, I personally bring these type of topics to the meeting so that um there is some awareness and some demonstration of trying
of
to
what
do things
exactly?
better. Well, particularly this before the badge, because
Don't you
just as
think
you
starting
what
with being respectful to people who have been directly harmed by police violence can show a level of trust, can show a
what's
level of
respect?
respect?
So
To
what's
at
the
least
respect?
to at least start with that. I was the
What
last meeting I was in, Dr. Howard Gale was calling you guys out on on the fact that you want to focus on corporations instead of police accountability, and he was attacked by that, and you told the person who attacked them, thank you. You said
Okay.
thank
And
you
I
to that,
apologize. And
and
I
then you went
apologize for
on.
not. And I did apologize.
No, you didn't,
Yes, I
Felicia.
did.
You're
Yes,
now
we
you
can
just
go back.
okay. That's fine.
Okay.
And I'm
Anyway,
not going to have a backroom conversation when you all. When this is a community engagement, this
okay.
is supposed
And
to be in front of the community, and this is supposed to be in front of those who have been directly impacted by police violence. I'm not going to have a
I'm gonna.
backroom,
Okay. This
backdoor
is
conversation with you all about this.
okay. Okay. That's fine. Then that's your choice. But we cannot continue to hash this out in these meetings in an
Don't
extent.
undermine our work.
I'm
Don't
not
belittle us when
undermining
we speak
anybody's
out.
work,
Don't have
and
these
don't.
corporations
Okay.
coming in who further criminalize, who
And
further
once again, I've
jeopardize the
asked you.
lives of Black and
Once
Brown
again.
communities.
Once again. Listen. I've listened to you. Once again, I've
You ask me
asked
a question,
for
I'm
your
answering it for you.
I've asked once again for topics to be given to me before the
And
meetings,
we
and I will
continue
set
to
them
do
up.
that, and you continue to ignore
Okay.
them, and you continue to
All
say
right.
that
Well, thank
over
you.
and over again. So when are you going to
Thank
actually
you.
care about what we have to say? When is it going to
Okay.
actually be relevant to you all, instead of you just churning the wheel,
Logan.
continuing to say the same lines over and over again, and then being befuddled and befounded when we show it to you, when we come and
Okay.
bring it to you, and we say, these are the issues that we have. Please listen to us. All you do is wipe your hands of it, dismiss it, demoralize,
Okay.
denigrate,
Okay.
talk down to us,
I'm
and then
sorry. I
act as if
am going
that
to
didn't
interrupt you
happen.
right here. I am going to interrupt you right here.
So
And
don't gaslight me, because
thank you for being at the.
I'm not the
Thank
one
you
right
for
now,
being
Felicia.
here. Logan, I need you to help with, so we're going to move on. And I'm not dismissing, but I'm moving on. And I appreciate you being here. So, did anybody have any comments, suggestions, or okay, we'll move on. And I do apologize. Several people have not been able to get into the Zoom, but I don't know what the issue is this time around. But since Vicky is trying to get in, can somebody help Vicky on the backside to get in on the meeting? Let's see. The next hand that was up was Dr. Gale. Dr. Gale, and I'm gonna tell you now that with no disrespect, but mindful of everybody's time and everybody's, like I've mentioned before, everybody's commitment to coming to these meetings to learn and to take in the information. Please be mindful and considerate as well to other people's time. Thank you. I'm gonna unmute you now. Can you
Hi,
talk?
can you,
There you go.
yeah, can you hear
Yep.
me? Yeah.
Yes.
So just a couple of things, Felicia. One, I think the problem with people getting in today for the Zoom is that it's mandating that the emails match a prior Zoom account for that individual. This has never happened in 3 years of, I've done hundreds. So that's one problem.
Well, thank you for that, because I couldn't understand I haven't changed anything about the settings, so that may be something Zoom has done on
Yeah,
their side. But thank you for
and
that,
then
because I'll look into
and then
it.
the additional problem, which some people may have, is in addition to requiring your email match, again, your email match, nothing to do with the CPC, but a totally separate personal Zoom account that you have. Those two have to match. And then it's also checking to see if you're signed in on more than one device. And it's prohibiting you without going through hoops. So anyway, that's just a technical thing.
Because I had the same problem, Mr. Gale. They wanted information that I had never had before, and then I finally just called in on the phone, and then I figured out if I got on my big computer, regular computer, and stopped my tablet, maybe I could get in, and so that is absolutely. I tried for 20 minutes, then I decided to call. And I know that what you're saying, that piece is verified. I had never seen that before. So something happened because that's not the way that it was set up. So just wanted to let you know that wasn't trying to stop people from coming. It's just we don't know what happened. We really don't. Because I had the same problem. It took me 20 minutes, and I mean, I'm the last person knowing technology. I just was trying, and then I decided, well, why don't I just try on the phone? And then I called in on the phone, and then I went to my big computer, and then I could figure it out. But you're right. I never had to put this in. And so anyway, that part, and something happened. That was not anything that we were trying to do at the CPC to hinder people participation. I just want to make sure, people who had a hard time realize that we didn't. I mean, we got bombed into stuff last February, but we wasn't trying to do anything tonight. Just trying to figure it out ourselves.
Thank you, because thank you for the feedback, because I will check the updates that maybe Zoom has made to the webinar platform. And please know we are still discussing different different ways of being able to have the meetings, a different type of platforms to have the meeting. We have been having those discussions as well.
Okay, so
sorry,
go
ahead.
Yeah, if I could just go on, and I will, as long as we're talking about Zoom and webinars, it is thoroughly unacceptable. I think at a minimum tonight, someone should put in the chat who's attending this meeting. I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know who I'm interfacing with. This has been a persistent complaint. This has to stop. So someone, I really do need to know who I'm talking to. Okay. I do have some questions about before the badge program, but I do want to get back to what Castile said, because I think, you know, it is not, it's re-traumatizing, and it's really harmful for her to show up in these venues and have to do what she does. Even when she's listened to, it's still re-traumatizing. And I think everything she said is true. I couldn't have said it better, but I want to focus on one aspect, and that is this question of what the CPC should be doing and what these community engagement events should be. The actual memorandum of understanding specifically states every year the CPC should hold a once a year meeting to do an annual review of what the CPC has done and engage with the community. That's at a minimum. The CPC has actually never done that in 10 years. This is not, and this is an important difference, so let's not lose this. I want to ask Felicia, how many commissioners are actually in this room tonight?
Let me see. Commissioners, actually just the one that I see.
Okay. And my point of this is, here's my point.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it could be 2 or 3. That's the point. Is the memorandum of understanding and the consent decree specifically called out the commission, all commissioners, to engage with the community. This is the opposite of that. It's the opposite of that because I think the most I've ever seen attend these meetings is maybe 2 or 3 commissioners. And then there's no flow back from this meeting to the commission. So this is basically creating a wall between what the community is saying and the actual meetings of the CPC that have no community involvement, have no impacted people sitting at the table. This is a serious problem. So that's why when I get angry, when Castile gets angry, it's for a lot of different reasons, but that's the core of the reason, is that our voice is being muted even when we get to speak, because we don't get to speak to the commissioners. Second point, and I'll make this quick. Second point, and then I would like to ask something about before the badge. The second point is, what is the nature of these meetings? And what Castile was alluding to, and I will restate it, is just in the last 2 months in the Seattle Times were numerous articles about absolute abject failures of policing and police accountability in Seattle. We have police that are stalking people. We have a guy that was unfairly physical use of force was used against a mentally ill man who was then thrown into jail instead of taken to a hospital, who then died in the King County Jail. We have women suing Raz Simone, the hip hop artist, and there's a lot of evidence that Raz Simone was actually an informer for the SPD. I could go on and on. I'm not. But the point is, we have all those stories in the press. Those should be the topics that we're discussing tonight. Not giving the SPD, with a $400 million budget, promotional ability to promote their beyond the badge, before the badge program. That can happen in other venues. The venue for tonight is specifically about accountability. And for the CPC last week to spend their entire meeting talking to the small business community, which was falsely represented as being part of the consent decree, which it is not, was really unfortunate and a slap in the face to the community. When I just told you I could read you 20 stories in November and December that require the CPC's attention. The attention of the CPC, this is not the Public Safety Committee. This is a Community Police Commission brought about because of abuse by police of citizens of Seattle. Anything that has to do with gun violence, homicides, break-ins in small businesses, that's part of public safety. It's not part of the CPC. Okay. So I think I've said everything I need to say there. My questions are, I would like some more specificity I see different things saying that the before the badge program is 5 weeks. I see some saying 45 days. I would like to know two things. How many days is it? How many hours per day? Or maybe the easiest way to do that is just give a total hour count. And the reason I ask that is, again, twofold. One, officers spend 720 hours at the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission. 720 hours. A grossly disproportionate number of those hours are used in compliance, force, shooting, things that don't have to do with actually engaging with the community. It's a very tiny percentage spent in the Criminal Justice Training Commission doing that. And I also want to point out to the public, this is something that people don't realize. The United States stands alone in the number of hours we use for training police. In Finland, I think it's something like 5,000. The number of hours in most other democracies is on the order of thousands of hours. Washington State is among the lowest in the country. So again, I would like for people from the police department to specify exactly how many hours are actually spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there Ron or Brian? Can you answer to that?
Yeah, it's a 45-day program. So part of that includes the pre-BLA that has always existed. So the prior part is the basically 40 days prior, then they come to the BTV, and then they have the 5 extra days. So it's Monday through Friday, and it's 8 hours a day. So is that approximately 200 hours?
Okay. So I think Valerie had her hand up first, and then Tana, and then we're gonna go to Vicky. Mother, did you have something to say? I can't hear you. You're muted.
No, I'll wait. I just have a comment. You know, I can wait. No, get the people. I mean, you know,
Yes.
I'll be last. I'm good.
Okay. Because there are some questions out here.
Okay, Felicia, it looks like
Yeah.
you can, this will be very quick. I wrote these thoughts down while Castile and Howard were speaking. I did not come to the meeting intending to speak tonight, but, you know, once again, I'm really moved to speak. As Howard was saying, you know, the format of these meetings makes them not community meetings. What these are briefings to the community, but they're not a meeting of community. If I can't type something in the chat and have everyone who's attending the meeting see it, we're not in a meeting together. It's like being in a lecture hall. Okay, so let's please not call this a community meeting if that's the format. We can't see who else is in the meeting, and we can only comment to hosts and panelists. And that's why I have to speak, because I can't, you know, I can't communicate with anyone else anyway. I can't see who's there. So this webinar format and this restriction of chat is a problem if you want to call this a community meeting. Secondly, in terms of the Beyond the Badge training, you know, it might be a good training. It might be given with good intentions, but there is a real problem with highlighting that when the CPC isn't working very, very hard to promote accountability, which was what the CPC was founded under the consent decree for. And it's what the CPC is funded for. That's what your budget is for. The SPD has a community engagement budget. It has venues for community engagement. You know, there's this overlap where the CPC is straying into the territory of doing community engagement for the SPD. And you don't need to do that. They can do that for themselves. What the CPC is for is to promote accountability, actually try to make accountability work. It's not working in Seattle, and to uplift the voices of community. And yet, how can you uplift the voices of community when we have community engagement meetings, we can't see what other members of community are in the meetings? You know, there are these constant catch-22s with the CPC, and it is very frustrating. I'm going to run a couple of metaphors by you. When you think about like nice trainings with good intentions in a system that has real police abuse that's ongoing, that's current, and a lack of real proactive work on fixing the accountability system, and you have been given a lot of information about what members of the community would like you to do to be proactive about making accountability better. You've got that information. We'll give it to you over and over again, but you really do have it. Here's the metaphor for you. You can't build a great house on quicksand, can you? It might be a very nice house beyond the badge training, but it's not going to stand up, is it? If you went to the dentist and you said, you know, I would really like a Hollywood smile. Well, the dentist would say, let's deal with that gum abscess. I have to give you a root canal before I cap your teeth. This is what we're doing here. We're capping the teeth and we're not dealing with the rot. And, you know, we have to really go deep and fix our problems. And that is what the CPC is for.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it.
Is that?
I'm
Oh,
going to leave it at, I think you get it.
okay. Thank you. I appreciate your comments, and we're gonna come back around. I just want to get everybody in with their questions first, but I will acknowledge your comments as soon as we get through all the questions, if you don't mind. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not ignoring. I'm just wanting to get everybody a chance to speak. Okay.
Okay.
So that I had Tana up next.
Greetings, good evening, thank you.
Hi,
Yeah,
Tana.
hey, a lot of what I would say has been said. I am the transparency and the community engagement part of this meeting. I do a lot of work in the community, and so many people just do not know about this commission. And like it's already been said, there's just not enough being put out with all the hundreds of thousands of dollars that's supposed to have been going into this gun violence prevention work, and we have still no accountability as far as what happened with that. Gun violence is spiking, it's getting worse, and all this money being spent. There's no accountability here still from the consent decree. The same stuff we was frustrated with before the CHOP and all that, you know, and then CHOP happened, but and they're making it seems like it's an excuse that things was already jacked up here in Seattle with the Seattle police, right? We had the consent decree we needed to do. We was working on that. Then the pandemic happened, then CHOP, and it's like you just forgot from the beginning that we already had problems before all that. And now that's just multiplied these things, and having these type of meetings that are secretive, you know, they're not transparent. If you want to have community engagement, you have to be transparent. The good, the bad, and the ugly. These meetings should be hybrid, you know, and the community should know far and wide. We have enough money. There's a Seattle channel. This meeting could be on TV. When we go to city council meetings, this should be set up like that to get more community engagement. So I definitely want to tap in with you to help with the engaging part of community engagement. And I'm on the Seattle Women's Commission. We should be working together because women are impacted by this gun violence. You know, this is our sons, this is our husbands, this is us sometimes. So we need to work together as commissions on our social issues here in Seattle and beyond. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. I'm going to ask Reverend Walden after we get through the questions to give just a little bit, because we are aware that a lot of people don't know about CPC, but there is a history behind it, and so we. Hmm?
Oh, you can mute me. That's my uncle.
Oh, okay. At more and more as the word get out about the commission, you know, we just got to take it as it's coming. To my understanding, and what I would like, Reverend Walden, what I would like for you to at least elaborate on is the fact that historically, I don't think that we've had community engagement meetings in this platform, in this format, to allow community members to speak. And to Dr. Gill's point, yes, we are working on getting the commissioners engaged in these meetings. But I'm gonna leave that there. Let me see. Vicky, where are you? I'm gonna let Vicky speak, and then Reverend Walden, you can follow up. Where is Vicky? Okay, there you are. Can you, Vicky?
Yes.
Before before you get started, I want to I'm sorry that a lot of people had technical difficulties today, but I did want you to chime in on your experience with the before the badge, and I understand and acknowledge the sentiments of some of those that are on the call, but I'm also wanting to be mindful of others who do want to know more about the program.
Okay. You know what? But I have to say this first. I come to meetings to make a change and make a difference. And I can complain about a lot. Everybody knows that I've had my family beat up severely by the police. I've been called the N-word by them. But you know what? I want to move on and heal and to make a difference and change things. And I feel like, particularly, um, um, Mr. Gale wants to stir the pot and keep it going. Let's try to work it out and figure out what we can do. Yes, we need to hold the police accountable, and that's why I'm involved. I support the Before the Badge. It's a great program. I know that it's going to change policing in Seattle. And don't complain and talk about it if you don't know what it's about. Get involved and find out what it is before you start talking negatively about it. The recruits come in, and I don't know what I've missed. They go through every neighborhood. My focus is on working with our Black community, letting them know why the Black community doesn't like them, why they're talk about the racial profiling, about everything that has happened in the past, so that it doesn't repeat itself. And these recruits get it, and that is why they are joining the Seattle Police Department. It's come down and find out what it's about. Like I said, I know in my heart it's going to change things. They have hired psychologists. They have wellness. It's too short to go in to tell everything to really understand in this short um, time we have. But like I said, let's try to work it out instead of being so negative about everything. I still have a lot of trauma, and I still get traumatized, and even some of the meetings I'm in with before the badge, where I have to walk out, but I come back because I want to make a change in Seattle. Um, Call me up, and to you, Mr. Gale, come to one of my meetings. I want you to come in person to one of my meetings. I want you to hear from not part of the Black community, the other side of the Black community, and I want you to say what you say in these meetings, and what you say about me on um, Twitter. It doesn't faze me a bit, because it shows ignorance when you have to start taking jabs at people. But I'm here to help make a change, and we all need to work together, whether we like each other or not. We have to agree to disagree and try to come to a mutual ground. I know that policing is going to change in our community.
All right.
You there? Okay. Thank you, Vicky. And I just I don't know, my program is going in and out, so I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that trouble. Um I, d- I just before Reverend Walden, is there anyone else to have any questions or any comments or any events that may be coming up you want people to know about? Um, Anything whatsoever? Because I'm gonna let Reverend Walden finish out the meeting.
Felicia, am I still on?
Yeah, you are. You still. I thought you
Um,
were done. Yeah.
well, no, I have my meeting coming up next Thursday at the Garfield Community Center. Everybody's welcome, and I'm having women that have been incarcerated that want to share their stories, and they support the police. It's their powerful stories, and it's in person, 7 days. Oh, we had to change the time 6:30 instead of 6, 6:30 to 8, Garfield Community Center.
Thank you. Um, and Vicky, we if you send us the flyer, we can get the information out as well. That'll be good. I just couple of things I want to say, and I want you to elaborate. First of all, I want to thank Ron and Nick and Brian. I want to thank you guys for taking your time out and coming and talk about this great program, and in hopes that if there are ways that the community at large can support or make it um, better than ever, then please let us know. As far as the platform with CPC, as I stated last time, we are really trying to look at a different way. I understand the frustration that you can't see who's on the meeting. I can send you the information because it's public, but I understand that you can't chat
Excuse
in this
me.
hmm, in this Vicky, in this format. um I understand that, and I know that can be very frustrating. I do want to acknowledge that, like I said before, when I first started CPC and there was a 2 minute public comment, and then that was it. It was two. You say your 2 minutes, and then that was it. Move on to the next thing. That disturbed me because as a community member, if I have something to say, I want people to hear, and I want to be acknowledged, and I want an answer. And so, I was real intentional about allowing these meetings to be in a platform in a way that community that we could hear your voices, because your voices are valuable whether you believe it or not. But we cannot have manipulation of the whole entire time when there's so many other people on the call. There's been 30 people on this call just tonight. So that's the only thing, and we do have to work together to make change. And Valerie, you made a comment. You said change can't be built. You can't build a house on quicksand. And I'm going to reiterate that you cannot build a house on quicksand. You are absolutely correct. You build on a firm foundation, one brick at a time. And in my perspective, in Felicia's perspective, is that is the tools that built before the badge brings. Um, so the police accountability, police, all the things that has been brought up tonight cannot be built on quicksand. So I ping that because it is very much the truth. One other thing, Dr. Gill, if you could put in the chat, someone wanted to know what was it that you were referring to that hasn't happened in the last 10 years. So if you wouldn't mind putting that in the chat. Okay, Reverend Walden, thank you for your support and thank you for being here and thank you for being the historian of all this police accountability um, stuff. And I give the floor to you.
All right, I hope you can hear me. Sometimes my system doesn't work either, I mean, sometimes. Well, as someone who worked to bring the DOJ to town, and Mr. Gill was not part of that, he was not part of the MEDC task force. We worked from 2010 to 2012 to bring the DOJ to town. And what we thought police accountability would look like, we thought we would have an impact with the contract. We had no idea that the DOJ and could not be involved with the contract. Nobody here wants to talk about the contract and the limitation. And also, And also May 2020, the Seattle Police Department was one of the best in the nation. I mean, it really was. And they were filing to come from under the consent decree. Okay, and a lot of times things what Mr. Howard is talking about, Mr. Gale is talking about, that was before the ordinance. We had an ordinance that set this community police commission up to be permanent. And part of that ordinance, and the city set up a new agency. And I'm sure that the city didn't know all the things about setting up a new agency that was a hybrid model. Okay, because he leaves out a lot of things. This is a hybrid model. This is one of the only ones in the community, in the nation, that's a hybrid model. And they have commissioners. And Mr. Gale came to every meeting, so he know the work that we put into to meet all the requirements of the court. We did all our filings. We did everything on time. He leaves out all of that. But if people really want to know the history, you can go to the website and you can see all the filings that we filed in the court. And that's how we got amicus status on the use of force. We filed for amicus status under the use of force so that we could actually make some recommendations around the use of force. And a lot of times, it's been some changes in the police department. It is not perfect, but it's not the same as it was in 2010, 12, and now it's not the same as it was in 2020. Also, we're all volunteers, just like he is. We're all volunteers. And for some of us, we've been out here for the whole time. We never took our marbles and go home. We're continuing to try to work for police accountability. And also, it is the Community Police Commission. And so there's a mandate to work with all the partners and the community. So I wish that he would just kind of like fill in all the blocks, but also people don't always depend on what he's telling us. Just because he has a PhD, go and do your own research and you will see that there are some places where he left out things, okay? Because everybody has an agenda. We should ask Mr. Gale, what is his agenda? Okay, I mean, I don't think he knows a lot of people in the African-American community. So what is his agenda? Is it really police accountability? Is it just to build his own platform, to build his own name, or is it to work together? It's enough division in America. I mean, so why can't we work together? And I'm not attacking Mr. Gale. He came to every meeting from 2013. He's only missed one because I've been there the whole time, just like he has. And so that's the truth. For people who think I'm attacking him, it's the truth. He used to come to every meeting. And I hope this community engagement meeting will become public, go back to being public and have a public. And then he came to every meeting for all the people who don't know that. He's only missed one. He's only missed one. And he had an opportunity to become, I thought sure he would apply to be a commissioner because he came every meeting. And then I was surprised that he did not. This was an open forum. He could have came and also, and so I want people to go and look and see the work that has been done. And also realize that they were trying to come from under the consent decree in 2020. Go read the filing of the CPC and ask the court not to release them from the consent decree in 2020. And so there's a lot of work that has been done, and there's a lot of work that still needs to be together. But why can't we work together? That's all I'm saying. And it's horrible things that has happened to all of us in Seattle and around the world. But there are people around the world trying to come together. That's all it is. We want, how can we work together? We can't unring the bell of anything in the past, but we can figure out a way forward. That's what community is. How do you build a way forward? Because we cannot unring the bell, but can we? I mean, can we stay at the table? Can we build a way forward? What is the way forward? I think this program that the chief wants to put forward is a way forward. And there's a lot of healing that has to happen in the community. That's why the Sentinel Review was wonderful that the IG put on with the Sentinel Review. People came to talk about what happened to them in the CHOP. My son out there, he's still wounded. My son got rubber bullets from out there. He had pepper spray and all of this stuff. But Omari Salisbury kept at it. He stayed out there. He stayed out there the whole time. He stayed out there. And so let's stay at the table. I mean, it's not easy. It is not easy to stay at the table. It's a lot of hurt feelings. I mean, you know, my grandmother's first husband was lynched by white people. I mean, she taught me not to be a hater. I mean, so let's try to work at the table. Let's try to stay together. This is a new year. And we got 52 more. We got 50. This is the second week of a new year. So we have a new opportunity. So let's stay at the table. And if I've said anything that harmed anybody, I want to offer my apology and my condolence. I'm a mother who's lost a son, so I understand what it is to be in that club. Nobody wants to be in that club. My son's anniversary going home day was 2005. It was 18 years. So I understand that grief, and I understand that. So I'm not trying to harm anybody. I'm just trying to be at the table. I've never gone home in 32 years. I mean, never. I've never gone home in 32 years. I've worked with every police chief, every mayor, ACU, and all these groups, and I'm part of working with the with the Washington State Coalition for Police Accountability. I mean, that there's a place for families who've been impacted by police violence. They have a statewide organization, and I'm working with them also. So we just keep at it. That's what we do. We just keep at it, working together, because that's how we're going to build a better world. I mean, we don't want the same world. We want to build another world. And so I just ask people to go read the consent decree, go read the filings, and then read the ordinance, because we've only been established as a CPC since 2018. I mean, that's when we really got funded for this. And so it's not all those other years. We were under the court. We were under the consent decree by the court. When we got the ordinance passed in 2017, it's when it started, and we got funded in 2018. So that's part of the truth that doesn't get told. So anyway, I want to thank the Community Police Commission. I want to thank the staff who's working tonight, and I want to thank our commission, our community community engagement director. 700 people came out last year. 700 people came out to the meetings, and that's the most we've ever had. So maybe some things we have not done, but to get 700 people out last year to the community engagement, some people must have thought that the new community engagement director was doing some things right. That's a lot to have seven, and doing COVID. So we're looking forward. We can't go back. Life, the clock does not go back. So let's just, the appeal process and all of that. Some of those things is true. We're all volunteers. We're all volunteers, Commissioner. Okay. And so we had some HIPAA, but we're volunteers. We're not perfect people, but we try to stay on the road. And that's all that matters in life, is to stay on the road. That's all that matters. You don't have to be perfect to do this work. You just have to stay committed. And that's true. I mean, and I have a lot of empathy. I'm a mother who's lost a child, but somebody to tell me that I don't have empathy is just really don't have a clue to say that to a mother who buried a son. All right, to say that the mother who's buried a son don't have empathy, it's just not. It's not right either to say that, because all mothers who bury their children go through a lot, and that's with them for the rest of their lives, no matter if they were killed by the police or if it was a brand new baby that she had. The mothers never get over that. Mothers never move on from that piece, and that's true. I'm going to thank you. I'm going to thank it's and I've spoken way more than that time should have, and I want to thank everybody for being here, and I turn it back over to the director.
Thank you, Reverend Walden. I just wanted, if Ron, Nick, Brian, anybody had anything to say, and we can close it out. I just want to once again thank you for being here. Thank you for that great presentation, and we just have to keep plugging ahead. Castile and Dr. Gail and Valerie, I have made notes once again of your concerns, and they're not going unnoticed, but we just got to figure out a way to be able to communicate together to some understanding. So with that being said, thank you all. Thank everybody for your time tonight, for your commitment to the CPC and the work that we are setting out to do with with this community police accountability, and making sure community is in the know of some of the programs going on. Thank you, and I'll say good night. Good night. Give me